I want to start this episode by saying something very clearly. There is nothing wrong with being just an event planner. I talk a lot about leveling up so you can get the most out of your career. I want to give you that competitive edge in the industry so you can make more money and get into rooms where decisions are made and you're not just handed logistics to report back on. In fact, that title of just an event planner is so near and dear to my heart. But if you've ever felt like your role has a ceiling, no matter how good you are still seen as just the execution and logistics coordinator and not the strategist, then this episode is for you. Because how you talk about your event matters just as much as how you plan it. I wore that title of event planner very proudly for 2 decades. That title actually helped me publish my very first book, Entertaining with Purpose. It helped me win so many awards, one of which was top 50 power players in the events industry. It opened doors for me to work with brands like Bentley and software companies like Snowflake and Freshworks. Event planning, to me, I think is the most overlooked profession out there. And if this is your role, I want you to know that this is a wonderful job, and I agree with you. It's such a fulfilling industry, but if you want to build career longevity, I can help you do it. My teaching has never been about diminishing the planner role. It's about acknowledging a reality most people just don't talk about. Even the most experienced planners, they often hit a ceiling. You can become a senior planner, you can move into a director role, you can start your own company like I did, but it's very rare to see a chief events officer or any C-suite level employee with this career. More often, these roles end up under marketing, VPs of marketing, CMOs, or over under operations under COO titles. And it's not because planners aren't capable, it's because strategy language lives over here in marketing. And if you don't speak that language, it's hard to be seen at that level. But here's the good news. You don't need an MBA to break that ceiling. You just need vocabulary, specifically marketing vocabulary. Strategy language that allows you to sit in these rooms and hold your own. That's how you stop being seen only as the person who executes and start being seen as the person who shapes outcomes. And this is where the way that you plan and talk about events begins to change. So let me show you what this looks like. Back in 2021, one of my clients asked me to plan a company barbecue. And then they called back and said, well, we also want it to be a team building retreat. I said, okay. This is the summer after COVID. It was after everything had shut down. This was a global company, but this was just the local office, around 125 guests. People were still hybrid, so getting employees back together was really, really hard. So instead of planning just a barbecue, I planned for outcome. I set goals beyond let's have fun. I wanted the event to help create a new culture post-COVID. I wanted it to set a new standard for what being together felt like. So I designed the event using emotion mapping. When you emotion map an event, you trigger emotion through the senses. I designed the event to trigger as many of the senses as possible because this is what activates the memory center in the brain. And so I tried to use as many senses as possible. For sight, I built a 20-foot balloon wall with their logo, all of their colors. It was part step and repeat, part wow, arrival moment. Employees took photos by it. The whole group photo was in front of it. I used smell. I had catering arrive early, cooking on the grill so it was smoking when they arrived. I wanted that immediate summer barbecue feeling. For sound, I hired a DJ and an MC. I wanted a host to run and organize the volleyball. I'm sorry, it wasn't a volleyball tournament, it was a dodgeball tournament. And I wanted him razzing everyone and keeping the energy up and flowing. And in the taste, what I did was I did a classic summer barbecue, cornbread, baked beans, coleslaw, Rice Krispie treats, and the monster cookies that we all had to trigger our childhood. Every sense was intentional. Every moment was intended to trigger emotion, and it was all anchored back to the brand in the best way possible. Even the goodbye was designed intentionally with trophies for the top teams and a message moving forward from the host. Because people leaving, when they leave, it is key to anchor that emotion in right before they leave. And so I just mapped emotionally this event, and I didn't even give you a single thing like venue or timeline, and you can picture the event. So yes, they hired me to plan this event, but when I went in, I didn't ask about catering. I didn't ask about booze. I said, what is the purpose of this event? What are the goals? How will we know if it worked? So we established KPIs before a single logistical decision was made. And so that shift in language is what changed everything. Because when you lead with strategy, logistics support the outcome instead of defining it. If I hadn't learned this language, I wouldn't have been able to increase my revenue. I wouldn't have delivered this level of results for my clients and what they always expect now. So talking like a marketer doesn't mean abandoning your planner identity. It means expanding on it. It means you're no longer just executing someone else's ideas. You're shaping them. And that's where careers grow. So here's the choice. You can continue planning events starting with logistics, or you can start with purpose, goals, and measurement, and let logistics support this strategy. If this resonates, I share this way of thinking every week in my Tuesday Edge newsletter, and I've linked a free guide below that walks you through how to lead discovery meetings as a strategist, not just a planner. Because when you change the language, you completely change how your work is valued. And when you change the values of your work and the results, you earn your own competitive edge. And this is how you stand out in a sea of logistics coordinators. So cheers to planning more successful events.